distance where I can see him. We're gonna figure this out, all right? Ain't doing nothing, man. Stay calm. Whoa! Back!
Get it off me!
On the ground, get down!
The dashboard camera timestamp read 2:47 p.m. on a scorching Tuesday afternoon in July. Officer Michael Stevens had been patrolling Highway 85 for the past 6 hours when he spotted a silver sedan weaving dangerously between lanes. The driver was clearly distracted, drifting across the center line multiple times in less than a mile. Stevens hit his lights and initiated what he thought would be a routine traffic stop. He had no idea that the next 10 minutes would be captured on camera, go viral with over 40 million views, and become one of the most talked about examples of instant karma the internet had ever seen. Officer Stevens was a 12-year veteran of the Highway Patrol. At 38 years old, he had conducted thousands of traffic stops without incident. He was known among his colleagues as calm, professional, and exceptionally good at de-escalating tense situations. He had received multiple commendations for his service and had never once been the subject of a legitimate complaint. His partner that day wasn't another officer. It was Rex, a 4-year-old German shepherd who had been trained as a police service dog. Rex was certified in narcotics detection, suspect apprehension, and officer protection. The dog had an impeccable record and had assisted in over 200 arrests during his career. The silver sedan finally pulled onto the shoulder of the highway about a quarter mile after Stevens activated his lights. Stevens radioed his position to dispatch and approached the vehicle cautiously, following standard protocol. Through the driver's window, he could see a woman in her mid-30s, blonde hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, wearing sunglasses despite the tinted windows. She was already talking on her phone, gesturing wildly, clearly agitated about being pulled over. Stevens tapped on the window professionally and asked the driver to lower it. The woman rolled down the window about 2 inches and immediately started yelling. She demanded to know why she had been stopped. She claimed she hadn't been doing anything wrong. She said she was late for an important appointment and didn't have time for this harassment. Stevens remained calm and explained that he had observed her vehicle weaving between lanes and crossing the center line multiple times, which constituted reckless driving and potential impairment. The woman's name was Jennifer Morrison, and she was about to make the worst decision of her entire life. Jennifer was a real estate agent who had been having a terrible week. She had lost 2 major deals. Her boyfriend had broken up with her, and she was running late to show $1 million property to potential buyers. In her mind, this traffic stop was just another thing going wrong, another obstacle preventing her from salvaging her failing career. What she didn't understand was that her bad week was about to become an absolute nightmare. Stevens asked Jennifer for her license and registration. She threw the documents at him through the narrow window opening, hitting him in the chest. Stevens maintained his composure and asked her to step out of the vehicle so he could conduct a field sobriety test. Jennifer refused, claiming he had no right to make her exit her car. Stevens explained calmly that based on her erratic driving, he had reasonable suspicion that she might be impaired, and she was legally required to comply with his request. Jennifer opened her car door so violently that it nearly hit Stevens. She stormed out of the vehicle, immediately invading his personal space, pointing her finger in his face and screaming about her rights. Stevens took a step back and asked her to calm down. He explained that if she continued to be aggressive, he would have no choice but to place her under arrest for obstruction. Jennifer laughed in his face and said he wouldn't dare arrest her because she knew people, she had connections, and she would make his life miserable if he didn't let her go immediately. What Jennifer didn't know was that every word, every gesture, every moment of her increasingly unhinged behavior was being captured in crystal-clear, high-definition video. The dashboard camera in Stevens' patrol car was recording everything. The body camera clipped to his uniform was recording from a different angle. Even Rex, sitting calmly in the back of the patrol car, had a camera mounted on his service vest that was capturing Jennifer's meltdown from yet another perspective. Stevens attempted to conduct the field sobriety test, asking Jennifer to walk a straight line heel to toe. She refused, claiming the test was stupid and she didn't need to prove anything to him. Stevens asked her to stand on one leg and count to 30. She refused again, becoming more belligerent with each passing second. Stevens then attempted to conduct a horizontal gaze nystagmus test, asking Jennifer to follow his finger with her eyes without moving her head. She swatted his hand away and told him not to touch her, even though he hadn't made any physical contact. At this point, Stevens made the decision to place Jennifer under arrest for reckless driving, refusal to submit to field sobriety testing, and obstruction of official police business. He informed her that she was under arrest and instructed her to place her hands behind her back. Jennifer's response was immediate and violent. She screamed that he couldn't arrest her and shoved Stevens backward with both hands. The officer stumbled but maintained his balance, immediately calling for backup on his radio. Jennifer wasn't finished. She was so consumed by rage and entitlement that she completely lost control of her rational thinking. As Stevens attempted to reach for his handcuffs, Jennifer did something that would seal her fate forever. She pulled her arm back and slapped Officer Stevens across the face with an open palm. The sound of the impact was clearly audible on all 3 cameras. Stevens' head snapped to the side from the force of the blow, and for a moment, everything seemed to freeze. That slap changed everything. What had been a routine traffic stop with a difficult suspect had just escalated to assault on a police officer. But the immediate consequences would come from an unexpected source. Rex had been watching the entire encounter from the back seat of the patrol car. The dog had been trained to recognize threats to his handler, and what he had just witnessed was an unmistakable attack. The moment Jennifer's hand made contact with Stevens' face, Rex went into action. The German Shepherd launched himself through the partially open window of the patrol car with explosive force. He covered the 15 feet between the car and Jennifer in less than 2 seconds. His training kicked in perfectly as he assessed the threat, identified the aggressor, and executed his protection protocol. Rex didn't maul Jennifer or cause serious injury. That wasn't what he had been trained to do. Instead, he did exactly what police dogs are supposed to do in these situations. Rex hit Jennifer with his full body weight, knocking her to the ground instantly. The dog positioned himself on top of her. His jaws closed around her forearm in a controlled bite that immobilized her without causing significant damage. Jennifer screamed in shock and terror, suddenly realizing that her violent outburst had triggered a response she was completely unprepared for. The tables had turned in the most dramatic way possible. Officer Stevens immediately commanded Rex to hold, which the dog did perfectly. Jennifer was pinned to the ground, unable to move. Her earlier bravado completely evaporated. She was crying now, begging Stevens to call off the dog, promising she would cooperate if he just made Rex release her. Stevens took his time securing the scene, calling for medical assistance, and ensuring that everything was documented properly before giving Rex the command to release. The entire sequence from Jennifer slapping Stevens to Rex taking her down had lasted maybe 8 seconds. But those 8 seconds would be replayed millions of times across social media platforms, news websites, and television broadcasts around the world. The video showed everything. Jennifer's aggressive behavior, her refusal to cooperate, her physical assault on the officer, and Rex's immediate protective response. There was no ambiguity, no room for interpretation, no way to spin the narrative in Jennifer's favor. Backup officers arrived within minutes, along with an ambulance to treat the minor injuries Jennifer had sustained from Rex's intervention. She had teeth marks on her forearm that would require cleaning and bandaging, but nothing serious. The real damage was to her freedom, her reputation, and her future. She was formally arrested and charged with assault on a police officer, reckless driving, obstruction, and resisting arrest. Each charge carried serious penalties, and the video evidence made conviction virtually certain. Jennifer tried to claim that she had been defending herself, that Stevens had been aggressive first, that Rex had attacked her without provocation. But the video evidence told a completely different story. Every camera angle showed the same sequence of events. Jennifer had been the aggressor from the moment she was pulled over. Stevens had remained professional throughout the encounter, and Rex had only intervened after Jennifer had physically assaulted his handler. The video went viral within hours of the incident. Someone at the police department, recognizing the public interest value of the footage, released edited versions that protected Jennifer's personal information while showing the key moments of the encounter. Social media exploded with reactions. Most people praised Rex as a hero and commended Officer Stevens for his restraint. Many pointed out that Jennifer's behavior was a textbook example of entitled aggression and that she had gotten exactly what she deserved. The comment sections were brutal. People dissected every moment of Jennifer's meltdown, pointing out where she could have simply accepted the ticket and gone on with her day. They noted how many opportunities Stevens had given her to de-escalate the situation. They celebrated Rex's perfect execution of his training and the instant karma that had befallen someone who thought violence against a police officer would go unpunished. Jennifer's life fell apart quickly after that. The video reached her clients, her colleagues, and her employer. The real estate firm she worked for immediately terminated her employment, citing the negative publicity and the need to maintain their professional reputation. The million-dollar property showing she had been rushing to, the client saw the video and specifically requested a different agent. Word spread through the local real estate community, and Jennifer found herself blacklisted by every major firm in the area. The legal consequences were even worse. Jennifer hired an expensive attorney who tried to negotiate a plea deal, but prosecutors had no interest in being lenient. The video evidence was too clear, and the assault on a police officer charge was too serious to dismiss. Jennifer eventually pleaded guilty to all charges in exchange for a recommendation of jail time rather than prison. She was sentenced to 18 months in county jail, 5 years of probation, mandatory anger management classes, and a permanent criminal record that would follow her for the rest of her life. But perhaps the most satisfying aspect of the entire story was what happened to Rex. The brave German Shepherd became an overnight celebrity. Local news stations did feature stories about him. The police department's social media accounts posted pictures and videos of Rex during training exercises, showing the skill and discipline required to become a police service dog. Children sent letters and drawings to the police station addressed to Rex. Dog treat companies offered to sponsor him with free products. Officer Stevens gave interviews about the incident, always making sure to credit Rex's training and instincts for preventing what could have been a much more dangerous situation. He explained that if Rex hadn't intervened immediately, Jennifer might have continued her assault, potentially causing serious injury. The dog's quick action had not only protected Stevens, but had also prevented Jennifer from making her situation even worse than it already was. The incident became a training video at police academies across the country. Instructors used it to demonstrate proper traffic stop procedures, the importance of remaining calm under pressure, and how well-trained police dogs could be invaluable partners in dangerous situations. Jennifer's face was blurred in these training videos, but her actions served as a permanent reminder of what not to do during a traffic stop. Jennifer served her full 18 months in jail. She had no opportunity for early release because of the severity of her charges and her complete lack of remorse during the initial court proceedings. By the time she was released, her entire life had been permanently altered. She couldn't return to real estate because no firm would hire her. She couldn't find work in sales or any customer-facing position because a simple internet search of her name brought up the viral video and dozens of news articles about her assault conviction. She eventually found work in a warehouse doing inventory management, making barely above minimum wage. Her friends had abandoned her, embarrassed to be associated with someone whose violent meltdown had been seen by millions of people. Her family relationships were strained because they couldn't understand how she had allowed a simple traffic stop to destroy her entire life. Jennifer had gone from a successful real estate agent with a promising career to a convicted felon working a dead-end job, all because she couldn't control her temper for 10 minutes. Meanwhile, Rex continued his service with distinction. He participated in dozens more arrests, located thousands of dollars worth of narcotics, and never once used excessive force or acted outside his training. He became the most requested police dog for public demonstrations and school visits. Children who watched videos of Rex taking down Jennifer asked their parents if they could become police dog handlers when they grew up. The instant karma moment had turned Rex into not just a hero, but an inspiration. Officer Stevens received a commendation for his handling of the situation. His supervisors praised his restraint and professionalism in the face of extreme provocation. He continued his patrol duties, but with a renewed appreciation for his four-legged partner. Stevens later told reporters that Rex had saved him that day, not just from potential injury, but from having to use force himself, which could have resulted in additional scrutiny and investigation. The video remained popular for years after the incident. It was featured in compilations of instant karma moments, in police training materials, and in discussions about proper behavior during traffic stops. Jennifer Morrison became a cautionary tale, a perfect example of how entitlement and aggression could turn a minor inconvenience into a life-altering disaster. People who watched the video saw exactly what happens when you assault a police officer in front of a highly trained protection dog. So Jennifer learned the hardest possible way that actions have consequences, that police officers deserve respect, and that karma can arrive in the form of a very fast, very determined German Shepherd. Her moment of rage resulted in 18 months in jail, a destroyed career, and permanent internet infamy. Rex proved that sometimes the best response to violence is swift, controlled, and absolutely justified intervention. And Officer Stevens demonstrated that professionalism and proper training can turn a dangerous situation into a textbook example of law enforcement done right.